set, 0, counting up.
Quote, "He will kill at the drop of a feather," unquote, said the New York police commissioner nearly 100 years ago in 1932. He said that, referencing Two Gun Crowley, in the middle of an epic shootout that lasted for over 2 hours between the New York City police and Two Gun Crowley. As during the shootout, Two Gun Crowley penned a letter, writing, quote, that he had, quote, "a tired heart, one that would do no one any harm," unquote. Only a few days previously, he had murdered a policeman. Several policemen. This doesn't seem like someone who has a heart that would do someone no harm, but yet he wanted to justify his own actions. This story comes from Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and the point he brings up is that no matter how evil or despicable actions people take, they always try to defend themselves, and even sometimes others try to defend them. This is an example of exactly what we're seeing in a current day news story. A news story about illegal immigrants. That brings us to our prompt. Is Operation Charlotte's Web justifiable? To analyze this question, we'll look at 3 separate points. First, we'll get the scoop, or the background on what's going on in this story. Second, we'll talk about whether or not it's legally justifiable. And then finally, we'll talk about the state of illegal immigration in the United States. So let's start with the scoop. What's going on? What is Operation Charlotte's Web, and why would it not be justifiable? Well, NPR reports on November 16, 2025, that Charlotte's Web is an illegal immigrant crackdown by the Department of Homeland Security. The goal of Charlotte's Web, NPR reports, is for the Department of Homeland Security to go into Charlotte, North Carolina. Yes, it's a play on words. To go into Charlotte, North Carolina, round up illegal immigrants and deport them. USA Today reported on November 20, 2025, that the Democratic mayor of Charlotte, North Carolina, Mayor V. Lyles, tried to defend these illegal immigrants, saying, quote, "I'm relieved for all of those who were targeted." He said that he was relieved because DHS had left this city only 4 days after this operation had begun. Right, so we see here that Mayor V. Lyles was justifying the illegal immigrants. He was sad that they had been targeted. He said that he was grateful that they were gone for his community, that they would be defended. This brings us to the second point that we'll be focusing on today, and that is this operation legally justifiable? Well, as we've seen, the federal government, in this case the Department of Homeland Security, is deporting illegal immigrants in Charlotte, North Carolina. To answer the question, is it legally justifiable, we need to examine what legal authority there is for the federal government to do this. You see, the federal government has authority under the second article of the Constitution to, the federal government, or the president, right, has executive power. Executive, right, like execution of the laws. So the president is allowed under the Constitution to execute federal laws. Now, if there's a federal law saying that entering the United States without permit, without permission from the US government, without detection, that is illegal. Therefore, the federal government does have constitutional authority to execute the law and to deport those illegal immigrants back across the US border. That is a legally justifiable action. Now, although that action is legally justifiable, and that is the stated action DHS is taking, the question still remains, is that actually what they're doing? Because, of course, just because DHS says that's what they're doing, that doesn't mean that's actually what they're doing. And a lot of the controversy around this issue centers on what are they actually doing. Are they actually arresting illegal immigrants and deporting them? Well, CBS reports on November 17, 2025, so in the middle of this operation, that 130 illegal immigrants had been deported under this operation. They had been arrested by DHS, found to have no documentation of their entry. Many of them were even criminals, murderers, or sexual offenders. So, these illegal immigrants were deported by DHS following federal law. What we can see here is that DHS is in fact actually executing federal law. That they have legal authority to do that under the Constitution, and therefore Operation Charlotte's Web is legally justifiable. Finally, let's get on to the third point, because that focuses on the broad issue that we're talking about today. The state of illegal immigration in the United States. You see, illegal immigration has been going on for a long time, but it's been building up and accumulating like never before. 20 million illegal immigrants crossed the US border during President Biden's term, being between 2020 and 2024, the Pew Research Center reports. The Federation for American Immigration Reform brings up another additional concerning statistic, saying that $150 billion annually are wasted on illegal immigrants. That money goes to fund illegal immigrants' health care or education under programs meant for US citizens. Obviously, that's unfair. And to be clear, there's a counter-argument that illegal immigrants pay taxes into the United States and therefore they still are a net benefit. But this report, this 150 billion statistic, includes the taxes paid by illegal immigrants. So 150 billion net dollars lost. The report demonstrates that this means that the average illegal immigrant in the United States costs the country $9,000. $9,000 per illegal immigrant is being wasted by American taxpayers. This is obviously a major concern. And so for these reasons, it's clear that Operation Charlotte's Web is justifiable both legally and morally.